What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Mike Robinson, and this is another episode of Let's Take a Walk. I hope everybody had a great and interesting week. I definitely did. But tonight, man, this is my favorite night of the week I get to spend with you guys. So tonight, just like any other night that we're on here, we have some of the most interesting, busy, uh, hustling, business-minded, community-minded guests that we could possibly find. And tonight is no different. Tonight we have Miss Maryse Alexander. She's an author, an autism advocate. She's an entrepreneur and a businesswoman in her own right. Tonight we're going to talk about her latest literary project, Kai's Rainy Day Adventure Learning About Safety Together. We're going to talk about, oh man, that light is shining crazy. So I have to kind of turn it to the side. That's crazy. But we're going to talk about the book. We're going to talk about her advocacy with, the whole issue of autism, and just get kind of the nuts and bolts. But I don't want to steal her thunder. I'm having trouble talking today. I got a new mouth today. I don't want to steal her thunder. For those of you who may not be familiar with Miss Alexander and her movement, I just want to give her a moment to kind of reintroduce herself and just give a little background of who she is and some of the things that she has in line. So with that being said, you have the floor.
Hey everyone. So I'm so happy to be here tonight. As he mentioned, I'm Maryse Alexander. I am an author, I am a mother, and I am an autism advocate. And as you see as my banner, I am also the founder of Empower Ed Autism. So some of the things I have going on right now, we do host workshops free for the autism community. And our workshop center around combining like the emergency management department in Norfolk and our community. So we can learn things such as our flood zones. We can learn emergency preparedness. We can find out what Norfolk is actually doing for the community, things about if there was an emergency, what apps to use that can show you not to go down certain routes, and also what else? Oh, shelters and things, and having a go bag, things that you don't think about regularly, but you definitely need, especially when we parents of autistic children have to have certain things, like if your child needs a squishy toy or headphones to protect them from overstimulation. Just that's what we do. We provide those workshops to everyone. And also, what else I have going on? I am a featured author on the Voices on Paper book tour. It's multi-city. We are hitting up Ohio the 20. What's next Saturday? 26th. I can't
I believe so. No,
Whatever next Saturday is, that's when we're going to be in Ohio.
Be the 28th.
28th. Oh, I'll be there. That's all you need to know. After that, we are trying to see if we're going to do Houston still. And if not, definitely we'll be in Chicago on the 25th. What else? And some good news. I hit number one in a category on Amazon as a bestseller, number 2 and number 3 just last week. So I was very ecstatic about that.
That's amazing. I absolutely take my hat off to you. Congratulations to start off. Let's start from the beginning. Where does this journey begin? Like, what made you become such a staunch and passionate advocate for autism and that whole movement? Where does your story begin?
It began with my son being diagnosed when he was 3. And so once we got that diagnosis, you go through the stages of guilt or, depression, grief, like what caused this, right? So then past that, I had to learn how to communicate with him to understand him, because for a while we struggled, and you can see the frustration on his face as well. So about a month and a half after being diagnosed, my son eloped, which is also known as wandering. And I had no idea about that. It was very scary for us. We were not prepared. And it was raining. And why? Kids on the spectrum are drawn to water. Behind my house is marsh. Around the
Oh,
corner is a pool, and a lot of, I don't know if you've seen, a lot of babies have passed within the last year. I think there's about six between then and this year from drowning in like pools or ponds or lakes. So I didn't like that feeling. So what started from that was, hey, safety. And from safety, it was, well, how can I give back to the community? Since I'm a new mom and I didn't have anyone to turn to because I don't know anyone else in my family that has a child on the spectrum. So then I just started reaching out. And I also have a friend. I'm going to give this young lady her flowers, Dr. Shadesha Green. She is a grant specialist at NOAA. So her and I were talking one day, and she brought up something dealing with emergencies and children on the spectrum, how NOAA at the time did not have a lot of those grants and stuff or projects. So I was like, let me tie in safety, floods, because kids, or water, period, with autism. And that's what started all these workshops. So I reached out to the emergency management department. They were willing, Norfolk Resilience um, board immediately. They have graciously provided us with guest speakers. So I'm very blessed and happy. So that's the backstory of how this all started.
awesome. So you said that, in the beginning, you kind of had no point of reference. You didn't really know how to conduct yourself, even especially in this, this crisis moment where where your child is, and you're not sure at that moment where your child is gone, and you, like you said, it's storming, and you have, this marshy area behind your home. Um, how did that make you feel after that? Like, did you feel? I'm trying to figure out how to ask. Because you didn't have the information. You know what I'm saying? Because you weren't, necessarily prepared for that moment. Um, did you feel like you could have? Like, I guess what I'm asking is, at that time, how available was the information for you to seek out? Was it more so, or was it more so, you just feel like you feel like you could navigate it
Uh,
yourself?
so when you first get the diagnosis, the developmental pediatrician would typically link you with like the Tidewater Autism Society. So they give you a nice packet and whatnot. It's very thick. So between navigating that, between trying to figure out what does my child need, because obviously my child was nonverbal when he was diagnosed. So I knew immediately he needed something with speech. So what I'm getting at with that is the information was there. I hadn't had a chance to talk to anyone yet. I was they were going to link up with me and call me or however that was going to happen, and it hadn't happened yet. And
Mhm.
so I believe obviously the internet has a tons of information, right? But during no stage and during that time frame, I don't think I was mentally looking at that. I was more so thinking like, what can I do so that him and I can communicate? And I think that's what I centered on. So maybe I could have probably done a little more research, but I also had no idea about wandering or elopement at the time because I never experienced that. So I did lean heavily on some friends that, well, one friend had a child, but her child's older now. So she's very informative and very helpful. So I don't know. I felt like maybe if someone and I had communicated faster than the time it took, maybe I could have. Um, I'm not saying it could have been where I was supposed to contact. I don't remember, so I'm not knocking them because that is a phenomenal society. Please don't think that negative. I just think I think I wasn't probably mentally in the right place to be reading that thick package and to understand exactly what it's saying to me, because a lot of it was just more so resources, and I didn't see a whole lot in there about elopement or wandering. So I don't know. Did I answer that? Did I answer yours?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, and I definitely can understand. I can empathize with the position that you're in. You know what I mean? You're trying to, you want to be, a good parent, the best parent that you can. And sometimes circumstances and situations don't always make way for that. And so it's difficult, especially like you said, you at the time you had a very limited point of reference. And so, even with that, what I'm saying, even with hard information in your hand, there's still nuances that you have to, what I'm saying, because I would imagine that every child is different,
Oh yes.
even though the condition may be the same. The way that it's expressed has to be different with each, and different and unique with each child.
Yeah.
So I definitely can understand, the position that you're in. So going forward, so now you are kind of put in this position where you are paying, not that you weren't paying attention before, but now your antennas are up more than they were prior. And now you're kind of in the mix, and like you said, you're gathering and gleaning information, from others. And how long do you think it took for you to feel like you kind of had come to grips, or maybe you were more comfortable in the position that you were in? Did you, or do you still feel like you're kind of still processing? Like at what point do you feel like you're in this process now? Do you feel comfortable in it now? Do you feel like you kind of got a handle on it?
Handle on this? Never. Um, I have 4 children. He was my third. So you recognize differences, right? And my 2 oldest were girls, excuse me. So girls typically talk faster, walk through all types of things. And he was walking fast, and he was communicating, but then I noticed a regression. And so I knew way before, not, I didn't know exactly, let me say correctly, but I kind of suspected. So when I finally got the diagnosis, obviously, it was hard, right? My husband, he also was like, no, it's not that. He just, it's just speech delay. I'm like, okay. Because I started to know and notice and recognize like the overstimulation things. Like when he was around places or people that he didn't know, he would just get like frantic and like take off running. So I started to notice then too, like, okay, so there's more things happening here. But for me, I think because uh, of the uniqueness of the situation, I had to kind of come to grips a lot faster.
Mm-hmm.
So I instantly went into what can I do to provide for my child, right? That included therapies, that included, an IEP, that included reaching out to try to get him into schools and stuff. So I didn't have time to keep waiting.
Right.
So I would say about maybe a month after the elopement situation, I was in full stride trying to figure out what to do next. It took my husband a little bit longer because he was adamant that there was, and obviously I'm going to say there's nothing wrong, right? There's nothing wrong with my child. It's just he learns differently, he communicates differently. So we just had to get over that acceptance piece, and it took my husband a lot longer. So that was a challenge too, like trying to advocate for him in house and advocate for him out of the house. So once my husband came to grips with it, oh, he's wholeheartedly supportive. He understands, and and he's protecting, providing as usual. So
Right.
I think I answered that question.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So if you had to pinpoint like one thing, what would you say um, is the most profound thing you learned about yourself in the process?
Patience.
Okay.
With my girls, I don't think I had patience. I was younger. I was a younger mom, so I didn't really have a whole lot of patience. But with him, I have to understand that some things he doesn't understand. So, and then when he's talking now more. So, like for example, yesterday we were at his little birthday party, and he wanted to play, and I was like, "No, let's go eat." So then we'll go play. He goes, "No," and the parent in me is like, "Excuse me." But then I had to realize, no, he's actually communicating. Mom, I don't want to go eat. I want to continue playing. So then
Mhm.
we have to use techniques that we learned in therapy, such as if then, hey, um, if we go and eat, then we can go play, right? And so then he's like, okay. And he went there and ate his food, and he was hungry. Kid away from the playground to get him to go over there and sit down somewhere. It's not as easy, but patience, definitely patience. Yep.
So, so do you feel like that is kind of, does that translate into your life now? Like, the patience that you develop, like, has that does that translate over into your life, your individual life, and the things that you deal with just on a daily basis that have nothing that is totally independent of him, just maybe, on your at the workplace, at school, wherever you may find yourself. Do you feel like that level of patience has translated, or do you feel like it's just kind of like just reserved for you know
No, definitely not. It is in the workplace as well. It is in schooling as well. So I'm in a leadership position, and so you have direct reports and stuff, and so I have to apply patience there because everyone's different. Everyone has a story, and sometimes they just want to talk to you and tell you something, and so that definitely requires patience sometimes. Not that you don't want to hear it, but sometimes you're like pulled in so many different directions. And you're like, hey, I really got to get this done, and someone's standing there and they want to share something with you. So then I just patiently put this to the side and work on that, especially if it's like very serious something I want to talk to you about. So definitely, and the same thing with school. I think it makes me a lot because I also teach. I don't know if I mentioned that I'm a adjunct professor of biology as well at a community college. So before I was like very strict. No deadlines. This is it. I don't go back, right? Because it's more work on me to go back and open things. But I
right,
realize it now that like, hey, things happen. Um, People deal with certain things that you don't even know of, right? So you have some grace and patience with people. And
mhm.
so now I'm more like, okay, this is your one me. I do it, But now if it's every week, no, if something comes up, because hey, I've been in that position where a kid is sick or I'm sick or you're just mentally overwhelmed. So I think I'm more conscious of others as well, and maybe that they might need a little bit of my grace and kindness.
Understood, understood. So you move forward and you create this book, Kai's Rainy Day Adventure, learning about safety together. Um, what what was the motivation besides the experience? Was there anything else that motivated you, to go forth, um, in this pursuit, or in this project?
So remember, I mentioned not really finding a lot of information on elopement at the time.
Mhm.
If you were to go right now on the Amazon and put the word elopement in, you'll see what pulls up. There won't be a children's book for children on the spectrum. It'll just show you like someone getting married, someone running off, back
Right,
in the day. That's all you'll see. You. So for me, that showed that something was missing. Right? There's not a lot of books that address elopement and safety for children on the spectrum. So I wanted to write something for children who deserve to have their voice heard
right,
and to understand that elopement is not a misbehavior, which a lot of people instantly think, right? Oh, the child is bad. No, the child's not bad. It's a form of communication. And a lot of times children will elope due to curiosity or desire to explore. It could be sensory overload or anxiety, or they're going to go towards something that they're familiar with. So I just, the book basically for me was my way of helping other parents deal with elopement and understanding and coming up with a plan for your child, especially if you know your child elopes. Sorry, my alarm's going off in the house. Can you hear that noise?
hmm
Oh, okay, let me turn off the alarm. Oh, it's a smoke detector. Oops. All right, it's done.
so I want to get a sense of, so let me back up a little bit. So I was reading the book, and first off, I want to tell you that I really loved it. It's really very well put together. I love the color. I love, how basically extraordinary it actually is. I mean, I don't have a child that is autistic, but I still feel like it resonates with me. like with my family. I think about, you know, it made me kind of think about how I would feel if my child, I have a 7-year old, like how I would feel if he wandered off and I didn't know where he was. You know what I mean? Even if it was just for a short time, because I know how I'm the type of person. We get in the we go walking in the store. You know what I'm saying? Don't touch nothing. Don't go nowhere. You stay with me. You know. And a lot of times, like as far as my son's concerned, I'll hold his hand. You know what I mean? So especially in this time, this date and time,
Mhm.
um, it just really resonated with me. Um, you kind of touched on it earlier, about just kind of giving a resource to them to kind of inform other parents who might be in the same position as you, just to give them something to look at and relate to, and hopefully you know employ in their families and in their households. But I was, like I said, I was very impressed by the way it was just kind of translated over. It kind of transcended what it was actually meant to do. And was that the plan, or was that just kind of a pleasant surprise for you?
I guess a pleasant surprise. When I put it together, I just wrote from the heart, um, and I, told about my experience and then what I did afterwards. And so it's factual based. But I've seen that a lot of parents that don't have autistic children also have had scary situations where their kid wanders away, and so I've got a lot of feedback on my Amazon link and reviews where they're saying, "Hey, I don't have a trauma spectrum. However, this applies to us. I could use this information too." So I do love the fact that it touches more than just the autistic community. But no, it wasn't um, intentional. I'm just so happy that it's doing so well and it's so important right now. Like I'm getting a lot of people reaching out to me like, "Hey, I want to talk to you. Hey, I have a autism spectrum. I don't know what to do." And it's not only just about elopement. I'm getting hits in my inbox from moms that just want to talk or even to get some information like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And now I'm not an expert. Please don't think that I'm an expert in everything to do. I'm just knowing what I'm doing and what's working for my child. So I just give that advice. So,
Well, for the most part, I think we've been talking inwardly. So I want to ask you something that kind of deals more outwardly. Um, since you have kind of embarked on in this movement, what has your experience been like with the reception of what you're trying to do? Has your perception of community and society as a whole, was that a has it been affected in a positive way, or negative way, or not at all, as far as the reception that you get since you started this, since you started to be, more kind of like outward in your, advocacy of the movement? What has the community been like?
very supportive. Um, at first, when you're doing all your own promoting and advertising or trying to get people to understand, because not even just the book, even the workshops, the free workshops, trying
Mhm.
to get that word out, a lot of times it's very hard. So, but what I found is uh, what I've been doing to raise money because we don't have any grants. So we basically sell items and stuff like that at these flea markets, and that's
Mhm.
where I'm mainly promoting my our stuff. We're passing out flyers like, "Hey, please come," and we've grown. The first time it was a smaller number. The second time was a bigger number, and I'm anticipating that our next one, which is May 2nd, at 12 p.m. at the Aviation Institute of Maintenance in Norfolk, will be bigger because I've also reached out to other communities such as the Exceptional Family Support for the Navy.
Mhm.
Out to them as well. So hopefully we'll get some military families because my husband is a veteran owned. So the nonprofit is owned by both of us. So,
Okay.
but yes, community. I think the community. My outlook has been very positive, um, and not just even people on Facebook who I don't know. They're sharing the message. They're sharing, and I'm seeing it because they tag me in, and I'm just like, wow, thank you so much. It's bigger than me. And the fact that you're willing to post it on your page, someone I don't even know half these people, and they, hey, I posted this for you, and I'm like, wow, thanks so much. Like I think the message, like you said, is resonating farther than I would ever have thought it would do. And so, community is important.
Yeah, I always find it interesting that um, strangers are the most supportive. Like they're the ones um, that will go out on a limb. They will, invest. They will promote. They will, you know, give you their testimony in regards to what, they'll tell you exactly how they feel, about what you're doing. Um, as opposed to a lot of times the people that are closest to you, um, not so much. But that's a whole nother show. Um, moving forward, I mean, you're doing so much, and you are creating, you're creating platforms for others to come and share information and learn information, and just kind of grow. Um, what has that? I know I asked about the most profound thing you learned about yourself, but do you do you feel like the person do you feel like a new person? Do you feel like a different person? Do you feel like you have kind of evolved into this totally different entity? And if you do, if you have, or if you do feel that way, can you kind of elaborate on that? And like, how does it feel to be, um, to have purpose? I mean, because I feel like, at a certain age, you, I think that's one of the, like for me, I'll speak for myself. There are two things that I think about on a daily basis, and that's purpose, and it was two. It was purpose. Oh my God.
You gotta write it down.
It, it'll come to me. But I think about it a lot. It's purpose, and just basically knowing what you're supposed to be doing, with your life. Um, Many people go throughout their whole life trying different things. This doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel right. Until, they're 70, 80, 90 years old. You know what I'm saying? And there are some that find their niche right off the bat. Um, is this your niche? Do you feel like ultimately this is what you're supposed to be doing? Like this is supposed to be your life's uh your life's purpose at this point in your life. Like, do you feel, you know, do you feel like you found who you are in all of this?
Yes, um, I do. Being a nonprofit leader, basically, it's hard, right? And
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of times, like I said, we don't have grants, so then you got to start looking at other resources. And by any means, I am not rich at all, but um, I don't want to stop, right? I want to continue to have our workshops regardless, right? Wait, maybe we can't have, I was trying to do 3 a year, right? Maybe we can't have three, maybe I can go down to two, but my goal and purpose is still to provide free environmental literacy to families. I will never charge a family for anything that I'm providing because yes, I am passionate about it. It is, you're right, a purpose, and it does feel good once you find it. Like, hey, this is my calling. This is what I was supposed to do, right? I'm turning something that could have made me very, very sad into advocacy. And now I'm supportive. I'm helping other families. And truthfully, just that connection and community, it's amazing. It's great. And I don't want to stop. And if I'm not in Virginia, I hope someone continues to do something very similar. And if I go to another state, I promise you I'm going to start it up again. Um, I have changed. This has changed me. Very beforehand, very shy. Um, Stick to myself, right? I'm about my family. I'm in my house. I'm not doing all this. Now I see that I'm more outward, that I'm not afraid to talk to people because being a parent with someone, a child on the spectrum, what you learn is it's very lonely.
Mm,
They tell you, create a village, create a village. But because we're older, our village is not what it used to be. So when I had my
mhm.
girls and I was younger, I had my mom. She was still, able physically and mentally to help. My dad was still young too. My brothers. But now they're older, right? So my village has decreased, and so I have my daughters. They're 26 and 22. My children, other one is 6 and 3. So yes, there's a gap, but they're also living their life too, right? So
Right.
when I need them, yes, they're my village. They do come through, but I don't want to rely on them 24/7. And then it just sometimes we deal with so much, and all you want sometimes is for someone to say, "Hey, how you doing?" And
Right.
you don't get that. You really don't. They just assume that you're like a superhero. No, I cry. Oh, trust me, it's been some rough times. Yeah, I'm probably gonna cry now, but people need this. And I feel like when we do our events and we, put a face to something and we are giving back, it's worth it. And I'll do it every day, again and again. So hold on, let me cry.
Well, while you're getting yourself,
Oh yeah, thank you.
the word was perspective, purpose, and perspective.
Thank you.
Those are the two things that I ponder on daily. Um, to your point earlier, um, I realize that there are things that happen to us, some good, some not so good, some, whatever. But I pray, and praise the segue to what I'm about to ask you next. I pray that even the things that aren't so positive, I pray that I'm allowed to have the right perspective in it, because I realized finally that um in these years I realized that we are charged to be good stewards of even the bad stuff that happens to us, because we have to we're meant to share them in certain spaces. It it's it's part of our relationship, you know what I mean? So like, if there's anything that if there's anything that me and you can agree on, we might have two totally different backgrounds. You may be from here, I'm from there, but one thing that we can definitely relate on is pain. You know what I mean? We both have experienced some level of pain.
Hmm.
But what I want to do is I want to be able to see pain in its proper perspective, whatever that may look like at certain points, so that I can conduct myself in a way that's most effective, that's not going to hurt anybody, that's not going to set me back, that's going to be the most impactful that it could possibly be. Now, with that being said, the next thing I want to ask you, right, is kind of a tricky question, because it may kind of cause you to be say some things. I don't know, maybe you're not prepared to say. I don't know.
Oh boy.
But church, spirituality, religion, God. We have been conditioned to understand and believe that things are things are spiritually most things are spiritually driven. Oh, this kid is acting up because he got his spirit. Oh, this kid is doing this because he has a spirit. Or this person has a drinking problem because they have it's a spirit. And while frankly I believe that, I absolutely, I believe it. However, I feel like, and I'm trying to be careful in the words that I'm choosing, in this conditioning, right? I think sometimes we can hinder um, resolution, or we can hinder uh, solving issues, or at least dealing with issues, because we are concerned with this whatever spirit that we believe is on an individual or whatever. So with that being said, now I asked you about community reception, but now I want to ask you about spiritual reception. When you have this child with special needs, but you are a spiritual person. You believe in God, and you believe that God can do everything, and you pray and you believe and you have faith, and and I don't know this to be true for you, but you may have people who are saying, "Oh no, let me lay hands on them," or "It's a spirit. Put some oil on them and believe that this spirit is going to go away." So, with that being said, I want to ask you, um, was that a process in and of itself? Did that test, was that a test of your faith and how you see faith?
No, I didn't look at it in that manner. If anything, I feel like I was blessed more so, right? Now I have someone who um, is going to learn a little different. It's going to take a little while to get to certain things, but I'm blessed because I'm learning as well, right? Because
Right,
before, when I would see someone with a child that's like acting up, you're like, oh my goodness, like what's wrong with that kid? Now I see it in a new light. Right now, I'm a new person. Now I can
right,
recognize a parent who's like struggling with a child on the spectrum, because they do. They have emotional meltdowns when they're in like certain areas and stuff. So
right,
rather than judge, right? Because hey, I was there. I can look at that individual and pray for him, right? Hey, no, she needs somebody, or even just go by her and be like, "You're doing good, mom." Maybe sometimes they all they need, but no. Um, Luckily, I've never had anyone want to put no oil on my baby or no hands. Everyone so far has been accepting, and they just say, he's going to be who he is, and that we are going to claim that he is going to be able to go beyond your own ideas and thoughts, right? Um,
right,
as any parent, I want him to have kids. I want him to get married and find love, because when I'm gone, who gonna take care of my baby, right? So I
right,
definitely want him to have one God in his life. Two, I want him to have community, and I want him to have someone that will continue to love him when I'm gone. So I like that. I think there needs to be more churches that have like areas for them, like sensory areas or something. Because yeah, we go to church, but Malachi elopement. Oh my goodness! Easter last year, never forget. He's out there running, and so I'll come back out my heels, and I'm like, oh, here we go. It's like I take my shoes off and chase after him. So and it's no, they're not trained, right? And it's something new. A lot of I don't know if you
right.
know, flux of children have been diagnosed recently.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
because they were misdiagnosed. It was always there. I think it was a misdiagnosis. So it does limit when I go to church, because he likes red. So one time he pulled the fire alarm in church, and I'm in there, and I'm like, and in the thing, I'm like, I know that's my kid. And sure enough, I get a text. Boop. I'm like, oh, here we go. So then I got to go out and talk to them. And I was like, I'm sorry, he loves the color red. So it's just, I don't know if I'm staying within the realm of what you're asking, but I'm also
Well,
saying,
well, what I'm saying is that sometimes, I'm sorry to cut you off. Um, Sometimes in the community, particularly with people who are more traditional, or you know, our parents or our grandparents,
Mhm.
they sometimes they people will contend to diminish. They'll diminish situations based off of spirit. Oh, we can just pray for it. Oh, we can just lay hands. Oh, you know, that's we're not gonna claim autism. We're not gonna claim that. We're gonna, you know what I'm saying? So I can only imagine how that could somehow somewhat hinder. your process when you're dealing with a thing right in your face and you have somebody who's, you know what I'm saying, who means well, don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but they're on the sidelines diminishing what you're actually going through, and to say, oh, just, if you had faith, this wouldn't happen, or, this is just a spirit, just pray, fast, and this is gonna, happen. And again, I don't disbelieve any of it. I believe, I'm a believer unapologetically. But when you're trying to develop a level of normalcy and functionality within the whole situation, have you experienced that type of, and I don't want to say pushback, but ex, have you experienced that type of challenge when it comes to introducing your child to, the spiritual community? Because you're trying to bring you want to raise them up in the way that they should go. However, he has unique challenges that will challenge everybody.
I,
So that's why I ask, what I'm saying, what have you had to experience, that from your community?
you hear him at the door open. No, I have not. Thank goodness. So no, I have not.
That's amazing. That's amazing, because you still have some people who will, like I said, in their best, with their best intentions, what I'm saying, it can really be, probably, and I'm speaking solely from other situations, but it's kind of the same. um who at this point in your life and career, at this point in your life and career, who would you say is your most profound, or your greatest influence?
You be in context. What do you mean? My greatest influence
um
for
however, who is your go-to for whatever, who when you are going through something, or when you have an idea, or you're looking for, an opinion or insight, or whatever, who's the first person that pops in your mind?
I have, well, there's three, but I noticed more so the young lady I mentioned before, Sade Green.
Hmm.
Let me put off my camera on. How do you remove my camera?
So I'm talking with Maryse Alexander. She is a, entrepreneur. She's an author. She is, an autism advocate. She's the mother. She has an autistic child, and she created, a movement that brings in other, families who are affected, you know, by this, and they kind of create, a village where information is shared, resources are given, and, the movement moves forward. So people don't have to feel that they are alone in, whatever they're going through or whatever they're experiencing. And it's an amazing thing. A lot of times there aren't many avenues that we can turn to, not just in the autistic realm, but just in our general lives. It's very rare that we can find people that we truly can glean from, and truly have a desire to share and to grow with you, and invest in your well-being, so on and so forth. And so with the movement that she has, She is making great strides, and I definitely take my hat off to her. I think she's back. Hold on. Back.
Yes.
All right.
Sorry about that.
So you said you had three people who you would probably think of.
Mm-hmm. And three phenomenal women. Um, Shadesha, she is my whenever I have an idea of something crazy, bounce off. That's my go-to person.
Mhm.
Um, two other young ladies is Angel. She is a mom of a child on the spectrum, and she is who's been helping me. That's who I go to when I have a question like, "Hey, what did you do?" Because she is a phenomenal mother, and I'm telling you, I'm so proud. Her son went off to college by himself, and I told her I'm living through it because I am so proud of him. Every time she mentions him, I'm so happy to see that all the things she put in up front um, is paying off now, right? She's helping him. So that's who I go to when I have a question on that. And then my cousin Takara, I have to go to her because she keeps me sane. So whenever she's also a mother of an autistic child, and they're both, both those women, children are older, but just to how frustrated I go to her. She understands me. We've been 1 year apart, we've been together since birth, or since she was born. So, yep, that's those are my three ladies who I go to, who I think of, and they're very inspirational to me. All three of them in their own way.
What role has your immediate family played in the whole process? Like your in particular your husband. You guys are teammates. You know what I mean, and you have grown together. You've loved each other. You've raised children, and then you experienced that you're experiencing this challenge together. Um, what role does he play in this whole in this whole dynamic, and how would you characterize his impact on what you've been able to accomplish thus far?
Um, in this role, as I mentioned, he is my partner with the nonprofit, and he is phenomenal. I always use that word, fantastic. I love the fact that he is also passionate about it, and he doesn't want to stop either, right? And he enjoys giving back to the community. He does that even in his other things, like with basketball for the youth. He does that there too. So it's good and amazing to be able to talk to him about like, hey, this is my idea for this. What do you think? And he give me his idea, like, yeah, maybe, yeah, nay, now, and then um, he always finds us the venues, right? Like he ensures that we're there. He ensures like the sensory area. He's all about that because we do have sensory areas there. So that's his baby. And so, as far as for Malachi, um, my child, excuse me, my husband is very. I needed him. I need him around with me. Like what do I mean? When at any IEP meeting, he's there. Whether he's in person or on Zoom, he's on that call, and he's going to voice his opinion. He's going to ask questions, which I some questions that I don't even think of, and I'm like, oh, okay, like that helps.
Hmm.
And um, just the patience that he has also developed with Malachi is amazing, and they communicate in their own way. Malachi has, like I said, words. You heard him when he was talking there, but sometimes the communication is different, and Dad and him have their own special thing. I also think it's the man voice. Your voice get deep, and the kids do whatever they say. Versus me, I gotta like scream at a higher octave to get movement.
Right.
Yeah, my husband has been phenomenal. And then whenever like I'm stressed or something like that, or like as a mom, you get overstimulated too, right? Because um, children on the spectrum tend to find someone whom I'm his person, if that makes any sense. I don't know how to explain it, but I'm his person. So what you see is wherever I'm at, he's there. I'm noticing now as he's getting older, he is starting to develop some independence. So he'll go play in his room now versus before, no matter where I was, he's sitting right on me. So eventually you get overstimulated, right? Because you kind of like, I need space. I need some time. So my husband, he's really good at recognizing that. And he's like, hey, come on, buddy, let's go do something different. And so I need that support too. And then when it's time for us to advocate together for our child, he's standing toe to toe right beside me. So I appreciate that. Um, Yeah, he's been he yeah. I don't and I think too, like God blessed him as well too. Not think I know because he is so patient with Malachi because he understands and he is a provider, a protector. He's gonna protect his child and he's gonna make sure his child is not. He doesn't like labels, right? He don't want you to treat him any differently because in
Right.
real life, once he gets older, past
Hmm.
the school time, no one's going to, right? So that's one thing my husband is very conscious of, and he makes sure that I don't treat him differently. So
Hmm.
much so that way he can understand and basically enter society without expecting people to treat him the way I do all the time, right? So
Right.
I do like that. He's a sound my soundboard. Like, hey, you're babying him right now. Talk to him, in regular tone. Don't do that. Or he understands you. He's choosing not to do it. My husband can recognize it. I'm like, he doesn't understand. He does a lot of times. So yeah, I love that.
I know I asked you earlier about, again, what you've um, found out about yourself. But what has Malachi taught you?
Um,
What has he what has he shown you?
the innocence, like just when he's excited about something and he's so happy, it's infectious. Like now
Hmm.
you're laughing with him too. When he's stimming, oh, I'm stimming with him. I don't care. And so, not only patience, but also joy. He's my first boy. Oh, I waited for
Hmm.
him. There's a
Yeah.
16-year gap. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's my baby. Um, I don't know. I think that's mainly joy. And he's so sweet. He's so nice. Like I don't know what would happen with puberty. I don't know what to expect in the future. But right now he's so cuddly and so sweet. And I love that piece.
Do you feel like you being a woman of color, in this whole dynamic, being a woman of color, has does that is that something that corporately, I'm saying, um, is that something that you have in mind? Are you a black are you a black autism advocate, or are you an autism advocate that just happens to be black?
Autism advocate that just happens to be black. I don't
Can, can you afford to be can you even afford to be a black autism advocate?
I see movement now in the Black community about awareness and people that are advocating for us. So yes, I could. I believe. I just I come from a blended family, so
Mhm.
I try not to see color, but I know the world
Yeah.
does. So
Right.
I am conscious of that as well. But I just want to be an advocate for them. I don't care what color you are. I don't care what race you are. I'm here for you. Just like when you go out to eat with us and my family, you'll see a whole variety of colors. We're different. So I hope that the message, the advocacy, the um, basically community that we're providing, I hope that outweighs anything that someone sees. And if they see color, then have fun. I have nothing for them. Nothing negative. How about that?
So overall, would you say that you've been taken seriously for the most part?
Oh
People
yeah.
take you seriously.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. What would you say is the most common misconception that people have about you?
Maybe that mean. I don't know. I don't have no idea.
You know what? I ask that question a lot, and I get all types of answers. But I think that I think that it's saying something when people say, because you're not the first person. I think that it really makes a statement when you say, I don't know, because it just says that it just tells me that you're a type of person that just kind of goes about your business, and you do what you do, and it impacts who it impacts, and it reaches who it reaches, and you just move on. You know what I mean? And that's important. because some people are totally governed by, how people see them or by their emotions or, whatever. And I think it's important to not be that way, especially when you're doing something as important as what you're doing. So, with that being said, I only have a couple more. I only have like two more questions for you, right?
Okay.
So, if you could have it your way tomorrow,
Hmm.
what would the empowered movement be at its peak?
Mm, multi-city. Right now we're doing Norfolk, right? So our third workshop will be held in May, as I mentioned. And I want to not just stay in Norfolk, right? I want to go to Hampton. I want to reach out to the emergency management department there. I want to go to Portsmouth, areas that are, frequently flood areas, Virginia Beach, Chesapeake. So to be multi-city is my goal. That's tomorrow. If that could be tomorrow, that would be it. So I could reach more families.
Mm. It seems that you really have to be on your feet because there has to be kind of an we have our plan in place for in case there's a fire, but because of the special needs, there has to be a totally alternate. There may have to be a totally alternate plan to to mitigate that. And that I mean, I am totally in awe of that while still being totally terrified by that at the same time. So that's something. Um, I have one last question. Um, I want to be respectful of your time. I feel like we just kind of scratched the surface. I haven't really asked you everything that I wanted to ask you, but I want to be respectful of your time. Um, and this is a question that I ask all my guests. Um, and I just want you to think about it and give me the most honest and transparent answer that you can possibly give me. Okay. Here's the question. What would have to happen in your life, if it hasn't happened already, for you to consider your life a success? What does success look like for you specifically?
Accomplishing what I set out, reaching my goal. Um, I've had many successes in my life, right? I wanted to get, I was a teen mom. I wanted to get my master's. I did. I'm now going for my doctorate now. So for me, it's just if I set a goal, if I reach that goal, then that's success to me. And that's my transparent answer.
Okay, that is amazing. I want to thank you for coming on the platform to talk. Like I said, I know that we just kind of scratched the surface, but you absolutely have an open invitation to come back. I would love to do a part two, three, four, five. Um, so if there's anything that you want to talk about, promote, anything that you want to, advertise, whatever, please let us know, and we definitely, we'll definitely set it up. Speaking of which, do you have anything coming up that the community should be aware of, like any events, any?
Besides the Voices on Paper tour that I mentioned earlier, I am going to be at the half, I'm going to call it halfway book store. Let me make sure I don't want to say it wrong. Hold on one second. Should have been ready for this. It's going to be on June 27th. I know that much. Half Full Bookstore, excuse me, Half Full Bookstore. We're going to do a reading. I'm going to introduce my other book that I have. And this one is more STEM based. So
Okay.
that's my next thing coming up. And then in July, I'm hoping to do a huge community event. One, I think July 25th. And I'm going to try to do it at a park. And that would
Okay.
kick off in the city of Hampton. And I'm going to have, guest speakers as usual, we're gonna try to see if I can get the area near the playground and have volunteers and stuff that can help. So that way, if the child does run, we have someone there. Maybe we can get that whole section blocked off so no cars are coming. At least the children
Right.
are safe. And we're gonna hopefully give away emergency flood kits at that event. Um,
Mm,
yep,
okay.
we're not gonna have a whole lot of them, right? So people are gonna have to register early, and we're gonna, obviously do the proper route for that. But just to give families like a start, a bag with some sensory things, some things you obviously need in an emergency: flashlights, a radio, what else? Battery, things like that. We will be giving some out on our May 2nd one as well to the guests that attended the previous two workshops. So
Mhm.
the community will love that as well. But those are the next couple of things I have coming up right now.
If somebody wanted to get in touch with you, um, maybe they want to sew into what you're doing, maybe they want to attend some of the events, or just maybe they heard something on here that maybe they want to get more clarity on, how could they get in touch with you?
You can get in touch with me on our website, www.empoweredautism.org. On there at the very bottom, you'll see my email, my contact number. You can reach out to me that way. Or you can email me at empowered.504@gmail.com.
Awesome, awesome, awesome.
And I
Well,
check my
again,
email every day, all day.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Check my emails regularly. So, uh,
Okay,
it's attached to your phone. Your phone is in your hand. It's your little computer. So you always have it
right,
handy.
right, right. So, Maryse, did I say that right?
Maryse? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Maryse,
Uh huh.
Maryse.
Uh huh.
I want to thank you again for coming on to the platform. I appreciate you sharing your experience and your wisdom. Um, Again, I would love to have you on again and just kind of discuss a little further empowered and its effect, and just kind of get more of the nuts and bolts of it all. Again, you have an open invitation to come back whenever you see fit, and we will make it happen. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Y'all take care,
And
everyone.
all right,
All right.
all right, guys. There's another one. I want to thank Maryse Alexander for coming onto the platform to discuss her autism advocacy project. And I hate to even her movement. I don't even. It's big. I feel like it's bigger than that. I don't even really know how to characterize it or title it, but it's an amazing movement, and it kind of transcends autism. It really plucks at um, my sensibilities. Personally, I can only speak for myself. It plucks at my sensibilities, and how we see and how I see people and the things that they actually experience and go through in their life. Um, I think sometimes we take for granted the positions that we're in. Um, we have we have children who we feel are well adjusted, quote unquote, or quote unquote normal or healthy, quote unquote, and we kind of like take that for granted, not realizing that there are people who have um, enormous challenges, um, that that there's not always a point of reference for. There's not always a playbook for, and so they kind of have to like build it as they go, and that's something that, man, I'm just really really in awe of, and it really makes me want to take a look at how I see or how I maneuver in my own family. And I believe that that's what it should do. It should challenge us in a way that we rethink or relook at or reevaluate how we deal with our families, and how we raise our children, and how we relate to one another. Um, but with that being said, you guys, I want to thank you for coming on. Thank you for watching. Thank excuse me, those who will watch the playback later, I want to thank you in advance for watching. Um, I appreciate you. Please share this um, with whomever, not just people affected by autism, but whomever you feel would be touched by this. Tell a friend and tell a friend. So, with that being said, as I always tell you guys, if there's something that you feel like you've been placed in your spirit and your mind, that you dream about, that you think about, that you feel led that you should be doing, I implore you now to do it now. This is the time. There's a remnant of people that are waiting for you to complete this act because it's attached to their destiny is attached, and so that makes it bigger than just something to do. It's actually your lot in life or your purpose in life. Um, and that's what it's at. Whatever it is, a book, a script, a song, a job, a degree, some type of certification, whatever, a short story, whatever. Um, walk it out. Walk it out. So with that being said, good night, and I'll see y'all next time. Let's take a walk.